So far, we have written three functions. The first function that we wrote was called cube, and it had a single argument x. The next function that we wrote was called hyp for hypotenuse, and it had two arguments, a and b. The third function that was out there was called set x to 2, and it had no arguments. The topic in this section is what happens if we want to write a user-written function with a variable number of arguments, and that will be illustrated with a function called mean of objects. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask whether or not there exists something called mean of objects, and the answer is false. There's nothing built into R, or nothing in this R session either, that has the name mean of objects, so we're free to use it. Let's go ahead and write it. Here it is. We're going to say mean of objects is a function, and the way that R handles a variable number of arguments is with 3 dots. So those 3 dots tell me that there are a variable number of arguments, and I have not yet talked about the return function, but the return function is an explicit way of saying this is what I want returned from my function. In this particular case, what I want returned is the mean of those objects concatenated together, and when I type the ... it's going to try to replace it with one of those possibilities that's coming out in the menu, and I don't want that. I want it looking just like that. So if I type mean of objects just to see what it looks like, there it is. And that's exactly how I typed it in. So now let's get a bunch of objects to take the mean of. Let's set x to 1 and y to the vector 2, 3 and z to a matrix that consists of the integers 4 through 9, and there are 6 such integers, so we'll put them into a 2 by 3 matrix. So let's take a quick peek at all of those. There's x, which is just 1. Here's y, which is 2 and 3. And here is z, which is 4 through 9, arranged in a 2 by 3 matrix. Now let's call our function. Let's try mean of objects, and we can put in as many arguments as we want. Let's try putting all 3 objects in, x, y, and z. And what will happen here is it will take the mean of whatever is in all of those objects, and in this case the mean of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 5. I could also call this function mean of objects, which I got with the up arrow, by backspacing and just saying I only want the mean of objects x and y, and it would be fine with that too. So it would take the mean of x, which is just the 1, and y, which is the 2 and 3. The average of 1, 2, and 3 is just 2. So we have written a function here which can handle a variable number of arguments, and this finishes off the work on user-written functions.